I am so excited. Welcome to the podcast. This is the live edition this week. The podcast is called Most People Don't, But You Do. We have stories with phenomenal people that have good ideas and then they actually do. They make these things happen. Today's guest is a great example of a person that does. Her name is Brooke Sellas. Brooke is joining us today from New Jersey, but sometimes from all over the world. She is the founder and CEO of a company called B Squared Media. She is also author of a book, which I have tagged down below. The name of the book is Conversations That Connect. It is phenomenal. Excited to be able to chat with you. Brooke and I initially met. I'll just do the tee up, and then I promise you will get a chance to talk. We met at a kindness conference that ALG Vacation put on a few weeks ago in Punta Cana. Phenomenal group of people, travel advisors from all over the country that were selected because they were perceived by others to be kind. I did a presentation several days throughout the week. Brooke did a presentation, was not able to see her presentation because it was the same time that mine were, but I was really able to get to know her as an individual, as a person that is kind, as a person that takes action, and just fascinated by her story. Let me pause there and let Brooke say hello at least.
Hi. I'm so excited to be talking to you. Bart and I hit it off. I feel like we're best friends already. Is that
Kind of.
appropriate to
Yeah. No,
say?
that's good. Yeah. Yeah.
And you're so kind. And I very much love kind people and people who do, doers. Doers who are kind. There we go.
All right, wonderful. And let me tee up one other thing that I learned initially about you. Several of the evenings we had opportunity of being able to network and do dinners at this phenomenal resort again, Punta Cana, and to kind of get a sense, I of course, and our listeners know this, I watch people and I notice and I observe, and if I can do, I will over deliver and I will help others. I think Brooke is the exact same way. A server came to the table and had a cup of ice. Now, Brooke did not order a cup of ice. She was drinking wine. I don't think anyone at our table ordered a cup of ice because they were all drinking different things that maybe didn't require ice. And in order not to make the server feel bad, she's like, "Oh, okay," and just kindly accepted it and took an ice cube or two and put it into her wine. That just shows you didn't ask for ice, you didn't order for ice, but you didn't want to make anyone bad. That just kind of sent to me the example of you're a good human being.
Oh,
But so yeah, I mean, don't blush at that. It's all good.
I am
Uh,
blushing.
so Brooke, I want to talk about your book eventually. I want to talk about your company eventually, but I would like to talk about you as an individual that chose to start her own business. There's an incredible story behind it. Can you kind of start at growing up? Were you a driven kid? Did you know what you wanted to do?
No. I was a driven kid, but I was driven to live life to the fullest. I was kind of a troublemaker, which we talked about a little bit. I spent most of my junior and senior year in high school grounded for just being a little rebellious. And so no, I would say I didn't know what my path was. All I knew is that I wanted to have fun. And then eventually, as I continued to grow up, it took me a while. I was a late bloomer in a lot of different
Mhm.
ways, including growing up and maturing. But eventually, I figured that if I did what I loved, which was start my own company and
Mhm.
really help people connect with their audiences and their customers, that could be work and fulfilling, but also I have a ton of fun as we did together in Punta Cana.
Yeah. So were you thinking about that as a kid or even going through, and I keep on saying kid, I don't think I've ever referred to anyone else's interview on this podcast as tell me when you were a kid, but I feel like I know you because I do know you. High school, were you thinking, "Ooh, I want to start my own company. I want to connect people." No.
No, in high school, I actually wanted to be the weather woman. That's what I thought I was going to do. I thought I was going to be on stage, which I am in a different way, and report the weather. And even went to school for communications to be the weather woman. And that never came to fruition. And I'm kind of glad it didn't because I think I'm having much more fun than I would be reporting on like
Probably.
the weather. I don't know. I mean, it still sounds amazing. And I actually have a friend who's a weather woman, and
Okay.
she's one of the most fabulous, kindest people I know. So sometimes I look at Jennifer and I'm like, I mean, maybe I would have had fun, but you know how our paths go. They just go where they go. And if you're like me, you let the path kind of dictate. I let my situation and circumstances kind of tell me where to go and where I should be. And
Hmm.
that's what I live by today.
And you are where you are intended to be.
I think so. I
That's
really do.
Yeah, and then that just kind of takes the pressure off, doesn't it? You are, Brooke,
Yeah.
where you're supposed to be. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing in life. That's Oh, thank goodness. Oh, thank goodness Bart told me that. Now I get it.
Oh,
Good.
phew. Now I could just go and no. I mean, I'm with you though. I think because, like I said, when I was a little bit of a troublemaker when I was younger, that was still walking my own path. I
Hmm.
think I'm still walking my own path. I'm just doing it without causing trouble, too much trouble, maybe a little bit.
Okay. Energetic, full of life, looking to have fun. Terrific. Tell us about the first job out of school. What did you do?
I was in real estate actually. So I've been in sales my whole life, really and truly. First started in real estate and had a really lucrative career there, and ended up winning Salesperson of the Year and all kinds of really cool awards. And the money was great, but something was missing. And that's when I decided to go into nonprofit, which I'm sure you read
Yeah.
in my book. But that was really sales too. I was responsible for raising almost $750,000 every year. That's sales, if you ask
Yeah,
me. We're just not
of
selling a
course.
tangible product; we're selling a feeling, which I
Yeah.
think honestly
Yeah.
led to where I am now, because that's what I'm encouraging my clients to do: is sell those feelings to your customers.
It's the differentiator. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I just got back from doing some training with a hotel company last week and the week before, and I will kind of ask the audience from a little participatory section, what makes your place, your product or your service, your place, your property so different and unique? And they're starting to tell me about ballroom size and the number of guest rooms and the 24-hour in-room dining. And then we kind of ask them to dig a little deeper.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me your one of your favorite employees that has been at your hotel as an example. Tell me one of your favorite hotel employees. And tell me, why do they work there? What makes them so good? Have you ever talked to them? Now tell me a story about how they impacted a guest, a customer, a client. How did it make them feel?
Mm.
And that's what it becomes all about, the feelings as a differentiator in life, isn't it true?
Yes. I mean, this is how we build relationships. This is fundamental to the way we exist as humans.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, and maybe because I'm a salesperson at heart and a marketer second,
Mhm.
it boggles my mind how marketers and marketing has gotten away from the feeling.
Mhm.
The creating those feelings. We're constantly, like you're saying, you're promoting the facts about your
Yeah.
business.
Yes.
But facts don't do anything to build trust or build a
No.
relationship. You start to do that with opinions and feelings.
Yes. Yeah, and it is, and I'll use the Maya Angelou quote, right? People aren't gonna remember what you said or what you did for them or what food you ate together, and I'm paraphrasing, but they will remember how you made them feel. And
Feel.
we go through this other example, and Brooke, I wish you would have been in my session,
Me
but this is
too.
the session. This is a summarized session for you now. But I will ask the audience, who remember some trivial things? Who won the Super Bowl last 10 years in a row? Who won America's Got Talent the last 17 years in a row? Who can tell me who their favorite elementary school teacher was and why?
Me.
Of course. And you have to tell us now because you raised your hands with both hands. But tell us, and then we'll get to the point as to why you would probably remember that, Brooke. Tell us. Who?
Mrs. Gardner, my first grade
Gardner. Okay.
teacher.
Hmm.
And she was so kind. I just remember her being like just a ray of sunshine. Like I didn't feel scared when I was around her. And I also remember the story that she told about her daughter who lightning hit the house, and she was opening the refrigerator at the same time, and she got basically struck by lightning, not directly, but through the refrigerator. But she was fine. And I'll
Hmm.
never forget that story.
Mm.
Ever.
Well, okay, so the story, how did that story make you feel?
Well, scared of lightning for a little bit.
Okay. Fair.
But also, like, I just remember being like fascinated by this story
Hmm.
And I think what it probably alludes to, obviously this is a long time ago, I can't remember all of it, but I think Mrs. Gardner was probably a very kind person, but she was also a great storyteller. And to
Hmm.
be a great storyteller, you make the audience feel something.
Yes. And it's interesting. I was looking for you to say she made me feel seen and welcomed and appreciated. You said she made you feel not scared,
Mm-hmm. She made me feel safe. Yeah.
safe.
Yeah.
How special. And this was more than 3 years ago, I'm assuming, because you're not in fifth grade now. You're not in fourth
Yeah,
grade.
I'm
Yeah.
like, I just turned 21, so,
Oh,
it was a few years ago,
congratulations.
but
Now you can drink and have fun. But the cool part of that, and that's just, I mean, it's a simple way of thinking. I remember how Miss Burrows in first grade made me feel. You remember how Miss Gardner in first grade made you feel
hmm.
like it was yesterday.
Oh yeah.
And that is the importance that we will eventually get to with conversations that connect and then your business. Brooke, what made you successful in real estate? Was it commercial or residential?
It was residential,
Okay. Why were you
and
what made you or enabled you to be so successful?
I think because it wasn't about like, and this I
Hmm.
worked in luxury high rises. This unit, we're never supposed to say unit, by the way. This apartment home
Hmm.
is, this many square feet, this many bedrooms. The kitchen has these things. That would be part of the tour. But really, I would be like, well, tell me why you want to live here. Well, do you live close by now? Are you getting transferred? Like, it was finding out more about the person, like
Hmm.
personal,
Hmm.
than like, what are you looking for in an apartment? Bart, tell me what about you so that I can match you with what I think the right apartment home would be for your situation.
Okay. So, Brooke, was that authentic? Were you
Yes.
authentic in wanting to know about? Tell me about you, Bart.
Hmm.
Why? Why'd you care?
I think I'm naturally
Was
curious.
Yeah, but wasn't all about getting the money and convincing them and swindling them into.
Swindling. No, no, swindling never. Because I was always, I wanted to tell the truth. Because I would feel terrible if Bart,
Mhm.
bought the penthouse thinking it fulfilled his needs based on what his story was, and
Sure.
you came around later because I worked in the building. I'm going to see you, Bart. I'm going to see you for the whole time you live at this building.
Mhm.
And I lived in the building too, by the way, so I'm really going to see you. I would feel terrible if you came to me and you said, you told me X and it's
Mhm.
really Y. I would never want to let you down. I think it's just a character thing, maybe.
Okay. Telling the truth, not letting people down. Also, and I have examples of you doing what you say you're going to do, being truthful, being authentic, being real. Did that come from your parents? Did they teach that to you? Did they instill that to you? And if yes,
I
share.
Yeah, I think so. I think my mom's biggest thing was always the tell the truth. You know, Even when I
Mhm.
was a bit of a troublemaker and wasn't always telling the truth. I do this on stage sometimes. My mom would come to me and say, I'm going to ask you a question
Mhm.
I already know the answer to. And I would be like, shoot. She totally knows. And I would still sometimes try to be like, no, that didn't happen. And she'd be like, Brooke. I'd be like, okay, it happened. The
Mhm.
truth was always the best policy. And I guess that's
Yeah.
how I grew up.
Yeah, and as well it should be, but not everyone has that
Compass.
supportive system, the resource,
Yeah.
the backing, the development.
No.
In
Yeah.
yesterday, Brooke, you'll appreciate this, and for our listeners, by the way, we're so fortunate, top 2% podcast in the world, and it's because of guests like you and listeners that are listening that like and share, and they feel that they're learning from different people in all different aspects, all different industries. We are learning what makes people happy, successful, and content by taking action, and grateful to be able to have you on this. The reason why I started to share yesterday, I did a presentation with a local Northern Virginia based nonprofit called United Charitable. Terrific organization. The first 30 minutes were me speaking of kindness, and it
Hmm.
was entitled More Than Nice, The Power of Kindness. And it was to get individuals into the mindset of we can include others. We can see something, do something. We can do what we say we're going to do. And the whole acronym of kindness, I kind of go through. But the reason why I share this is that there were a lot of individuals there that represent nonprofits that help with teen suicide.
Oof.
And when we were talking about you being raised to tell the truth and you had those resources and you had the backing, some of the numbers, side conversations with several of these leaders of nonprofits, they were shocking about, I don't want to misquote, but something along the lines of 1 out of 3 individuals in certain parts of the country don't have a reliable source of food every single day, or 1 out of 12 people might only be able to eat one solid meal. 1 out of 7 only has one parent, something along those lines. Just, I mean, horrific.
Yeah.
But then the people that were starting these organizations were people. This one woman, Tina, she said, "Yeah, my mother overdosed when I was 5 years old. I had to wear the same clothes to school because we didn't have a clothes washer." And people would make fun of me. So now she has grown up, Tina and Rodney, to be able to start a nonprofit that is helping people understand that you might not have the resources naturally through birth, but we are now going to be able to provide you people and resources to be able to help you to grow up, be as a kid, to be a better child, to be able to have positive influences. So I love hearing your story, Brooke. And it reminds me that we are fortunate if we had parents or if we have parents
Yes.
that were able to kind of direct us in a certain way because you were taught to tell the truth. That's
Yeah.
it. And if you were not taught to tell the truth, you would be a different person. You wouldn't be doing what you're doing right now.
Probably not. No. It's funny that you say that too, because I don't know if you've done any of like the DISC training or like predictive index.
Yes.
But like predictive index is the most recent one I took. I was on a nonprofit board for Best Buddies in New
Hmm.
Jersey, and we all took that. And my results came back. I thought I was going to be like something cool, and my results came back as an altruist, and I was like disappointed. And I remember Deirdre, my girlfriend, who was also part of the charity, turned around and said, "Why do you think that's not the coolest one? Like, you're literally here because you truly want to make a difference." Like, that's what I hear. And I was like, oh gosh, that's such a great way to look at it. But I guess like my motivator truly is to
Hmm.
be an altruist, which is someone who genuinely cares and wants to help others succeed.
Yeah, which is so special, which then leads into the next progression. You are crushing it, and I will say crushing it in a very good manner with
Thank you.
commercial luxury, no, residential commercial, no, residential luxury. I can't edit all this out because it's live. But
That's okay.
you were doing very, very well. And then something happened
Mm-hmm.
that enabled you or encouraged you to start working for a not for profit organization. Can
Mm-hmm.
you share a little bit about that story?
Yeah. So, my sister has cystic fibrosis. Her name's Lauren. Shout out, Lauren. She, was born in 1986. So back then we were basically every year it was like, Lauren probably won't make it through the year. Lauren won't make it through kindergarten. Lauren won't make it to first grade. She was in the hospital a lot. It was hard, but I always had this need to make her feel good and make her feel special. And of course, I met all of her friends, many of whom passed away, and Lauren didn't. And when I was working in that luxury building, I decided to do a fundraiser for cystic fibrosis with the residents of the building because it was a luxury building. These people have disposable income. I wanted to do something to give back. And we ended up raising like, I don't know, like $30,000 off of like this thing that I just put together just because. And a representative from the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation came out to accept, the money. And she said, like, we would kill to have someone like you working with us. And I was like, oh, that's so sweet. No, thank you. I'm doing pretty good at this point in time. And as I thought about it, I couldn't stop thinking about it. And I just decided to walk away from the money and take a big hit to my salary and go do something that really meant a lot to me. And that's what I did.
Hmm. Which is special and unique. Did you consult your sister before accepting that role with cystic fibrosis?
Oh God, I hope I don't cry. Yeah, I did. She she said, "I think you're stupid, but I'm so proud of you."
Wow.
So, so yeah. So that was like, I was like, and that makes sense if you know Lauren. She's an attorney. She's extremely smart, and that made sense for her. She was like, "You're dumb. Money's important, but also, I'm so proud of you."
Great. Terrific. Terrific.
Yeah,
And I love hearing that. And you reference your sister several times throughout the book.
yeah.
Also, that's what it's about. That is altruistic, Brooke Sellas. That is altruistic. And thank you for doing what you were doing. How is your sister today in these days?
Kicking butt and taking names. I
Terrific.
think she just went through a bout with cancer, so we're dealing with that whole thing now. But you know what? I think that's also probably part of where I get my drive from is from her. Even though she's the younger sister, the middle sister, she kind of gets up every day and gives all of these ailments and these things that she's going through the middle finger, and then just like goes and does exactly what she wants to do. Like she lives her life for her, and I find that
Terrific.
so inspiring.
Yeah. I always look for certain words or phrases that come out as a result of the podcast interview. And I'm just wondering if giving the middle finger and moving on is a good one. Maybe compliments, and we'll tag Lauren for that one.
It
But
might be aggressive, but that's her. I
yeah,
mean, she's
yeah,
like aggressively going, not today,
yeah,
and then goes and does what she needs to do.
yeah. And good lessons for all of us.
Right.
If we are here and we don't have those ailments,
Mm-hmm.
things are good. Things are
Yeah.
good. We're fine. Things are
We're,
good.
we
Things are
woke
better
up
than good.
alive. We woke up
Yeah,
today. Let's
yeah.
celebrate that. Yeah.
Yeah. And, I shared this yesterday. I was surprised by it. I learn a lot of things from social media, as I'm sure you do as well.
So
And
much.
there's one woman who is younger girl, probably I think she's 30,
Mm-hmm.
and for some reason she's becoming wildly popular. But what she talks about is very negative things.
Mm.
And I'll give you a couple of examples. Um, if you invite me to do something and I say no, it's because not because I don't like you. I just don't want to. Um, if I didn't have to do this, I wouldn't do this. And she said the other day, I woke up and just thinking, ugh, I'm not happy today. I'm not ready for today. I can't believe I have to handle another day. And
Mm.
I don't think she's being sarcastic with it. And it made me sad because one, in a good way, she's expressing herself lovely.
She's being
Eh,
honest. Yeah.
Yeah, she's being honest, and I wish her more happiness. But the people that are commenting and liking, and one of them had, like 12.3 million hits or views.
Wow.
People are commenting, you're saying exactly how I feel. And I feel the same way. And they're empathizing with her. And I guess it's good from a lens that the people that are commenting know that they're not alone.
Yeah.
But here I am being a motivational speaker that is trying to inspire folks by saying, yeah, things happen, things are crappy, but once in a while you need to give the middle finger and find the things that are good about
Yeah.
life because we are here. We are
Yeah.
here.
And
And
it is
when we
hard. It
of
is hard.
there's so many things
Ugh.
that go on. Everyone
Yeah.
has something, Brooke.
Everyone. Yeah.
Even though, I see you, successful business owner, crushing it, writing a book, writing another book, starting a podcast, speaking all over the country. And the same with me, perception wise. Well, what you don't know is my mother fell the other day and she's now in the hospital and we're getting ready to go visit her.
Yeah.
You don't know that
It's
unless I
hard.
say that. You don't
Right.
know that.
Right.
Yeah. And if people are treating us a certain way, we probably should always think if someone was mean to me, everyone has something. I just don't know what that something is for them. And it's okay that I don't know, but I can be bamboo and I can be flexible. I can go with the flow and I can be kind over being right.
Yes.
Okay, back to you. Ready?
Yes.
Okay. Working for cystic fibrosis, you were able to raise a tremendous amount of money in
Mhm.
a way that was at the time rather unique. I don't want to give away all the stories in your book because I do
Can't.
want people to be able to pick it up. But can you just kind of summarize what your approach was?
Mhm.
Because that certainly led you to doing what you're doing right now,
Oh, yeah.
speaking on stages, writing, hiring a team, being a consultant for groups. Can you share?
Yes. So very long story short, when I joined the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, I was like, put me in, coach, I'm ready. And they were like, cool, we need you to figure out how to get more young people involved. At the time, which this was like the mid 2000s, their donors were mostly parents and grandparents of people
Mhm.
who knew someone with CF. Well, CF only affects 33,000 Americans. And, if you do any branding, you know that the big brands, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, any big brands you can think of, they get the buyers in when they're young so that they become buyers for life. And so I understood what the mission was, but I was thinking like, oh gosh, how do I get people involved, because I'm involved because of my sister. So then I said, I wonder, out of the volunteers and the board members and everybody that we currently have, and this was in Dallas at the time, how many other like brothers and sisters and cousins and are close? So I kind of called them all in and talked to them one by one, and sort of formed a committee of people like me. Honestly, they had a sister or a sibling or someone who had CF in their lives. And we got together and kind of were brainstorming in a room, in this little conference room I'll never forget, in Dallas. And somebody said we should use Facebook. Now, I was a lot older than some of these people, so I'm like, Facebook? What's face? I was a MySpace girl, right? So I know.
Mhm.
So I was like, don't you have to like be in school and have like a college? And they were like, oh no, they just changed that. Like now you can have Facebook with us. So we signed up for Facebook, and I'm like, all right, this is cool, but like, what's the event? Like the event isn't Facebook. What are we gonna do? So of course we decided beer. Everybody loves beer as a young professional. And Dallas really loves beer. So funnily enough, I had a side job at the time. My first two companies, by the way, were design companies. No one really knows this, but I had some ins with some of the bars because I had decorated those bars. So I went to my bar owners and I said, look, I need you to give me free beer. I need you to give me free beer, and then I need you to hook me up with the bars up and down, it was uptown Dallas, up and down the street, who will also give me free beer. We're going to bring you a ton of customers. If you do a good enough job, they're going to remain customers, and they're going to spend a lot of money that day because nobody ever makes it to the end of the pub crawl. They usually end up staying at the bar that they like, that has the
Yeah.
atmosphere that they like, whatever. So again, long story short, we ended up using Facebook to tell all of these young professionals in Dallas about this event. It was a Facebook profile because pages didn't exist yet. There was no advertising on Facebook. That would come later that year, I believe. But anyways, we used Facebook like a page, connected with our friends, right? Because we could only have friends, not followers. And pretty soon we had 7,500 people sign up for the pub crawl, and we ended up netting like $60,000, which was 16 times more than a normal first year event. And then they took our committee structure and that pub crawl and implemented it nationally across 88 chapters. So that's where
Amazing,
that's
amazing.
where
Creativity, using resources, collaborating, using technology, building relationships, not getting followers, but using friends, finding commonalities. All of those were the recipes to making that successful.
Mhm.
And that essentially launched your perhaps confidence. And then I know you received, is that shortly after you received the challenge from your dad?
Yeah.
Okay. So how long with CF
I was with CF for
organization?
like 4 years or so. In 2009, right,
Mm-hmm.
the bottom falls out.
Mm-hmm.
And they let us know that layoffs were coming. And I knew I was one of the higher paid people on the team, and that I was probably going to get laid off. And at this point, I had not finished school. I left college, with a year left for a boy. Whole
Mm-hmm.
different conversation. But my parents said to me, if you get laid off, you should just come home. At the time they lived in Philadelphia or near Philadelphia, and go back to school. Just get it done. Don't try to work and get it done. You have so little time left. Just come up here, go back to school. You can live with us, not worry about a job or anything else, and then head right back to Texas. And so I did get laid off, and that's what I did. And then the whole thing with social media just kept sticking in my mind. And when I was finishing my degree to graduate with honors from Penn State, you have to do an undergraduate thesis.
We
So
are.
we are. And I looked at nonprofit Facebook pages, right? I took this
Mhm.
experience that I had and I said, okay, I know that there's a there's money there, but like, why are some pages at this point, there's advertising, more attractive? How do they have bigger audiences? What is happening on these pages that the other pages aren't doing? Other nonprofits, right? I looked at several nonprofits. What I found was that they were having these conversations that connect. They were trying to connect with their audience based on opinions and feelings. Like, how does the audience feel, or what is their opinion on X, Y, or Z? And then also as the brand sharing their opinions and feelings on these topics. And then the pages that weren't doing as well were sharing the cliches and facts. To go back to what you said, they were saying, oh, well, our ballroom's this size. Well, we have 24-hour room service. Okay, those are the facts about your business, but the features of your business, but the benefit of your business, your service, whatever, is how you make people feel when they use that product or that service, right? So those pages had a lot more going on. And this is how I was working in my current job. I worked for a sales company in Texas, even though I was in Philly at the time while I was in college, and was helping them with social media revenue streams. And my dad came to me and said, I want you to do what you're doing for this company, but I want you to do it for my company. It was a fintech company. He said, I got you a pitch with the CMO. That's as far as I'm taking you. Don't ask for anything else. This is the only favor you get. The deal is, if you win this, you will start your own company.
Amazing. And you won it, and the rest is history.
He basically pushed me off the cliff. The net
Good.
caught me.
Good. You needed something. We
I
all
did.
need something
I did.
to push us off the cliff, don't we?
Yeah.
You had the idea. It was sticking with you. You couldn't stop thinking about it. Just like when you had the CF opportunity. All of these things, they stick with you. And you realize in your heart that you want to do what is allowing you to pursue your passion, which is learning and challenging and helping others. So I'm so glad. And someone asked me the other day about me starting my company. Said it was because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
It happened for me, not to me.
Yes.
For me, because I don't think I would have left a terrific Ritz-Carlton global sales job unless the pandemic had happened. It gave me a runway, and it gave me a pause to think I could affect. I loved affecting Ritz-Carlton folks, the customers, the clients, the team members, ladies and gentlemen, but I could also now affect nonprofits. I could help associations. I could help other hotel companies. I could help corporations. I could meet people like you. If I was still in that that former job, Brooke, I never would have met you. I never would have started a podcast. So things happen. I'm so glad that your dad pushed you. So
Yes.
so then you start B Squared Media. And we have to say that the B Squared comes from your maiden name.
Yeah, Brooke Ballard, great weather lady name, by the way. Brooke Ballard.
Yes,
I mean, an
yes.
excellent weather lady.
Terrific, terrific. And is this then married Mr. Sellas is a new boy than the one that you had originally chased?
Oh yes, new boy, new state. He's from New York. I was in Texas at the time. I had always lived in Texas. I was in Texas for 29 years, and I moved up to the Northeast. And I thought I was going right back to Texas. Never happened. I've been in the Northeast now.
All right. So then, tell us about B Squared. I'm trying to, because I asked you, and I think I have a really good understanding of it. So we understand so far, listeners understand your journey, altruistic, trying to be a good person, likes to have fun, inspired by your sister, gave up money to do good, started using some creative resources to be able to do really great things to raise even more money, challenged by your father. You win that challenge. You have your own company. What do you start then doing with B Squared?
I thought I was going to be a social media strategy company. So I was going to teach people how to think conversation, not campaign, which is our tagline at B Squared, with their social media. That's what I did for my dad's company. And about 6 months after I delivered that strategy, they came back and they said, we need you to come do this for us because it's so hard. And I was like,
and the do this part is, we have the idea. You're talking about the strategy, and then you realize that it's more than strategy. It's implementing it, and the implementation is actually having conversations. So they wanted you then to be the person having the conversations with their customers online.
Yeah, creating the content that helps spark those conversations, and then also being that front line of defense on their social pages as customer support, as sales, as just someone to talk to,
Yeah.
honestly.
So were you the only one then doing it?
Oh,
Did you actually
yes.
do that job or did you hire someone to
Oh,
say,
no.
you do it? No, you did it.
Yeah, it was just me for like the first almost 3 years doing
Okay.
that for every client that I closed. And by the way, doing it 7 days a week. So I was a very busy bee.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what does that look like? So a fintech company,
Hmm.
uh, you were responding to social media responses, questions, concerns, complaints, ideas.
Yep.
That's what you
So
did.
yeah, it was creating the content, publishing that content, and then if Bart comes through on that page and he says, "Hey, I'm really interested in this technology." The
Hmm.
technology, by the way, was like think of cashless cabs in New York
Hmm.
City. That company put those systems in the cabs. So you come to me and you're like, "I have a boat rental company." Oh my god, that's not going to make sense, but let's pretend like it does. And you're like, "I want to put my technology." And I'm like, "Great, thanks Bart for reaching out. We can absolutely put our technology in boats." Yeah,
Hmm.
okay, this is just a made up scenario. And then I'm like, "Hey, let me get you to Brooke, who's our director of sales, our director of product, whatever it may be. Can I get your
Hmm.
information and have Brooke reach out?
Hmm.
Let's go over to DMs. I'll get that information, and then I'm passing that lead off to sales
Okay. And
from
so
a
that was your role. You were passing leads off to someone else initially,
or customer support, right? So if somebody
or
comes through and says
okay.
like, "I hate my boat product," I'm like, "Oh
Yes.
my gosh, let me get with you with our director of customer
Okay.
support."
So you had said something about when you closed them.
Hmm.
Were you also selling to them? Were you getting the
Not yet.
inquiry? Okay. You
Not
evolved
yet.
to that.
Yes.
Okay. So initially you were the middle person. Let me get you in touch with the right person. As
Yep.
an example, my mother will need some, I'm trying to think of what the word is, temporary service assistance,
Like
temporary.
home care service for a
Yeah,
little
but
bit.
like temporary stuff. And so I'll just share quickly with you. We
Yeah.
called a number and it was
Yes.
a central location for this company. The gentleman, I'm going to give a shout out to Gene. I can't remember his company, but Gene was amazing because he asked us all the questions. He had empathy and he said, where's your mother located? This location. Let me share with you the salesperson and the executive director. Here's the general phone number. Let them know that that you talked to Gene.
Yeah.
But like, continue was the nicest, one of the best telephone service representatives I have ever dealt with, and that's
I
35
love
years of
that.
selling luxury.
I love that.
He actually gave me his email address. I need to email him and thank him. But so it was almost like that role, correct? A human being
Hmm.
to be able to help. Okay, so it evolved into that, into then you also selling the product.
Hmm. So about 8 years ago, working with a luxury appliance brand, they start to ask questions about things that we couldn't do. And it was like the conversation went a little something like this: "Brooke, we're going to have this in-house team do our content, but we love what you do with like the community and the conversations happening on social. Can we, you know, kind of mix and match our agreement to look more like that, less
Okay.
content and more conversation?" And I was like, "Absolutely." So we kind of beta tested social care, what we now call social care, with this client for 2 years, and
Mhm.
it went so well that we
Mm.
were like, "Oh my gosh, everybody should be doing this." And we went to market with it six years ago, and now we have several big brands who do this with us, and we've had zero client churn. Zero.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is social care a term that you have coined, or is that
No,
a
I don't
term?
feel like I coined it. We called it social first customer care.
Mhm.
We've called it lots of different things, but we settled on social care a while back. And this year, for the first time ever, I got a big brand lead in our pipeline, and they called it social care, and I almost cried with happiness. I was like,
Terrific.
"Oh,
Terrific. Offline, I wanna have a conversation for if you remind me about social care. I have
yes,
an idea that I wanna share with you offline.
yes, okay."
Okay, yeah, I think it's a phenomenal idea. Okay, so social care, um, I don't wanna do all the talking. How would you define we understand your journey so far.
Hmm.
Now I wanna educate our listeners to what social care is because, 1, I want more customers, more of our listeners to use you and use B Squared Media, but I also think it's important for individuals to know what it is and how it can help your business, big or small. How would you define social care?
the way we look at social care, which is a little bit different from a lot of people, but it is the service of taking care of your customers and would-be customers on social media channels. And that means in any capacity. We're not just talking about customer support. We're not just talking about crises. We're not just talking about sales. It's a holistic approach
Mm-hmm.
to the conversations that are being had about your brand directly to you, but not just directly to you, because that's social media monitoring, right? That's reactive. We're using tools like social listening to find out when people are talking about your products,
About you,
your
to you,
stakeholders.
and about you.
Yeah, because those conversations are happening. And first of all, brands aren't even responding to the ones where they're tagged, right? But
Mm-hmm.
much less if Bart runs a luxury hotel and somebody's talking about Bart Berkey and you're not listening for that keyword
Yes.
phrase, that
Yeah.
name, you're missing out on that
You
conversation.
totally, whether it's good or bad. And the same
Right.
thing, I mean, it
Yes.
can apply to me as a motivational speaker and a sales and
Mm-hmm.
service trainer. It
Yeah.
could apply to me. So this is probably not the best example. Was the term that you used social listening? Is that what you
Mm-hmm.
said? Social
Mm-hmm.
listening. Tell me if I'm getting the concept. I have set up a tag in Google anytime it lists my name, anytime it says speaker TBD, anytime it lists, let's say, Brooke Sellas speaks on um, social care and I speak on social happiness, and we could tag team together.
Mm-hmm.
I could get those alerts. Is that some form of social listening?
Yeah. Think of it like search. Like we're
Hmm.
using keywords and keyword phrases, adjacent keywords and keyword phrases, all adjacent to the brand for the most part, right? But then we can get
Hmm.
into industry and competitor stuff too, but we won't go
Yes.
down that road.
Right.
So it's like search on
Mhm.
social, looking at conversations that are happening based on keywords and keyword phrases that you are looking for. So
Okay.
you put in these keywords and these keyword phrases, and then the AI of the tool looks in real time, finds these conversations, brings them to you, and then you can now respond or decide to respond. You may be passive and just collect that voice of customer information, or you
Mhm.
may be proactive and say, okay, Bart's asking about a social care speaker. Let me jump in and be like, Bart, I'm your girl.
Yeah. Do you think that there is application for just about any company, big or small, with what you're
Just
saying?
about. Yeah. I mean, my advice to you, if you're listening and you are a smaller company, or if you're just unsure of whether or not this pertains to you,
Mhm.
is to do an audit. Go out to your social media channels, all of the channels that you use, and look at all of the places where you're tagged, right? Are you answering those things? But also put a little label behind it. Start a spreadsheet, however you want to do it. This is a retention conversation. This is an
Mm.
acquisition conversation. Where are we having the majority of those acquisition and retention conversations? Because guess what? It's budget time. We're all getting ready for
Mhm.
2025. And I want to spend time on the channels that are getting me those retention and acquisition conversations, because that is where the revenue is.
Yeah,
That's where I
excellent,
move the needle on revenue.
excellent. Application for hotels, application for restaurants, application for venues. Can you share,
100%.
Brooke, can you share, and I know we're coming up on time, and thank you for chatting, and
Of
it's okay
course.
if this goes long, if you're still good for another 5,
I'm
10.
good if you're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. And our listeners will listen to the entire thing twice at least, and then they'll share
Yeah.
it. They'll like and share. Is there an example of an account that you can share without getting into the name of the account
Mm-hmm.
in which it has truly helped them? Something happened, they caught something, and as a result, they did this.
Mm-hmm.
Any success examples to share?
Yeah. So one of the clients that we've worked with, all, 6
You
years
can,
now,
yeah.
they are a consumer tech brand. And what we found when we did that little audit I just told you about, they have 12 different product lines. So they have their brand and they have some of the products that have, pages on social. When we went out and we started to look at those conversations and we looked at retention versus acquisition, I had asked them previous to working with them, how much of the conversation around your brand do you think is acquisition versus retention, or gain versus retain? They said that 0 to 5% would be gain, that the rest of it would all be retain. Okay, cool. So we go out, we do this audit, and what we found was that 4 of their product lines
Hmm.
had in the realm of 60 to 80% acquisition conversation. And because they weren't using social care, they were just doing social media marketing, they weren't seeing some of these conversations, but they also weren't responding to these potential sales conversations, right? So we said, hey, like if I went and put an MSRP behind product A just for this month, knowing that we have this many conversations and knowing that the MSRP around this particular product is X, that's $250,000 worth of revenue sitting on social that no
Oh,
one is
gosh.
addressing.
So
May
smart.
we
Brooke,
address this for you? And if we
Brooke,
close the deal, can we just have a little bitty percentage of the thing, which is
goodness.
less than you pay your salespeople?
Yeah, it is. This is one of the most, to me, intellectually stimulating conversations that I've had,
Uh,
because you are sharing the real deal about a process that works.
yeah.
That is, a lot of people don't know about social care. You're explaining how the process works. You are giving people pointers. I just think it's really, it's unique. The industry of what you are doing, it's unique. Tell me, is it almost like representing a car dealership and having phone calls come in and no one pick them up?
Yeah. It's
'Cause
the exact same
okay,
thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's communication that your either your customers, your current customers, your potential customers wanna have with you, but no one is responding. And what your team does is that you're providing a body to
Mhm.
be able to respond. They are
Humans.
knowledgeable, a human, yeah,
Mhm.
sorry, not a body, a human.
Well, not a
No,
machine, but a
no,
human.
yeah, yeah, no, a human, yes, and I think that's another critical, important part. Um, your team, are they able to handle more than one account? Are they
Mhm.
constantly monitoring, 3 monitors, this is my account A, B, and C,
Mhm.
and I know about A. A is high tech, B is a, luxury hotel company, and C is a restaurant group. Is that how it works? Because it must be tremendous amount of effort waiting, looking, searching, and then knowing I need to respond this how to the luxury hotel company customers. I need to know how to respond. Help me understand that.
Yeah, that's a great question. I get this all the time. Like, oh, what you're doing is cool, but that's way too human intensive. Like, you're never going to scale. And I'm like, okay, watch me. Because
Mhm.
because I'm a troublemaker. And when you tell me I can't do something, I'm going to do it.
Mhm.
But also because when you have the right tools and the right processes in place, and really the tool and the processes can retrofit to any brand. Now, the subtleties may change, and that's something that we have to get up to speed on. But when you have the tools that bring you all of those conversations into one place, where
Yeah.
you can tag and label in one place, where you have case management in one place, where you can connect us the company CRM and add this voice of customer data from social to the traditional CRM in one place. When you have all of these bells and whistles in front of you, you can do so many cool things.
Mhm.
Um, and it does take a special kind of human that we hire, and training is intense, right? It may take someone 90 days, maybe even 6 months to get up to speed on a really hard brand. Like the brand I was talking about, they have 12 different product lines.
Yes.
Under those product lines are a few different products. That
Yes.
takes time. But with the advent of AI, that's much more efficient in getting the correct answer and
Mhm.
finding the correct answer.
Mhm.
So really what it depends on is the tool, which we have, and the clients usually also have, but really the human. We hire people who come from like a nonprofit or a hospitality background, because these are the people who are altruist. I mean, if I could give everybody the predictive index test, I would want to hire the altruist, because at the end of the day, their happiness depends on making you happy, making sure that the
Helping.
job gets done. Right. Yeah.
Terrific, terrific, terrific.
Yeah.
Brooke, you brought up the aspect, and just two more questions for you. You brought up the aspect about AI being able to help, whether it's
Mhm.
aggregating the information or looking
Mhm.
for keywords. I saw a clip just, I think, yesterday, and it kind of scared me. And I'm trying to take things with a grain of salt and go with the flow. But there was a gentleman, I don't even know if he was an expert or not, but he was just referencing, the IQ. Maybe you've heard this. The IQ of Einstein was, and I'm just going to make up a number, 166. The IQ of I don't know if it was Chat GPT or some tool like that, Copilot, whatever we want to call it, artificial intelligence, the IQ of that is 162, let's just
Mm-hmm.
say. At the time when Einstein was Einstein and his IQ was, do these numbers even make sense? 166, does that sound
I
about
know that
right?
that's really high. Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know you're 170. I looked it up before, so well done. But
Not
at the
even
time
close.
that Einstein was at 166, the delta for everyone else was, I'm just going to make it up, an 80. Okay.
Sure. Yeah, that sounds about
Um,
right, actually.
yeah. And so now
Yes, 120,
looking at,
130, I think is like average human intelligence, 130, 140,
okay.
somewhere in there. Okay.
So that gap, that delta, it was significant because
Hmm.
Einstein was so much smarter than everyone else.
Right.
Got it. The acceleration rate supposedly of AI is going to be able to make that gap so much greater
Hmm.
where our knowledge is right now.
Hmm.
Let's say it's going to be an Einstein times 10. So what we know is here as human beings, and
Hmm.
what AI is able to learn and do is off the chart, literally off the screen here.
Literally. Yeah.
Does that, are you thinking about that as a business that has such a human element in it?
Hmm. I am, because
Yeah.
AI, yeah, AI right now, I think I was just at an AI conference last week. So I think what was the consensus was AI as it stands right now, right? Which is amazing, is like a college grad. Like that's where we are. This is the dumbest AI we're going to ever see. So yes, you're correct in that it's going to become infinitely smarter. You know, my little brain, maybe your little brain, big brain can handle it, but my little brain can even like fathom like where it's going to go in the next 5 to 10 years. But what's really cool about that is if you think about AI, not as in what can it do for me, if you have that altruist mindset, I've been thinking for the past 2 years, what can AI do for my customers that enhances what we already do? And so we're building a tool right now that will help us look at all of these conversations and pick out the words and the promos by product that have the greatest chance of closing the deal. So that as we're having these conversations, we can start using those words and using those promos, throw out the stuff that doesn't work, use artificial intelligence to do the heavy lifting of predictive analytics and tell us where to go to sell more things, right?
Yes, and sell more things by making people feel, and isn't that ideally going to be a human being that is
A
required
hundred
to
percent.
try to make a person feel a certain way?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of bullish on like the human has to be a part of this AI process. Now, listen, AI could get to a point where nuance and empathy it can totally do also. Right now, it's the worst. It's it doesn't have those things. It doesn't feel. It can act like it feels a certain way based on inputs, but it doesn't actually feel. It doesn't have empathy. So, if I were you, here's another tip. I would start thinking about building an AI agent for your company and take all of that knowledge, that institutional knowledge that you have about your company and create, company bot. I have a Brooke bot, for instance. Upload that style guide, upload any books that you've written. Bart, if you're building your Bart bot, it's your book, it's your style guide, it's the way you talk, the tone
Mm,
and the voice, all of the things. And essentially what happens is you're building a thing, a bot that someone can converse with at any time, and you will get that institutional knowledge right.
wow.
So if team members come in and out of the picture, I can still go to Brookebot and be like, hey, I'm new. I want to write something like this. Zhuzh that and make it Brooke worthy. Say it
Yes,
like Brooke would say it.
yes. Okay, so a Brook bot, a Bart bot. I don't even know necessarily where to go for step one to build a Bart bot. Where can people go? Seriously, just last tip, right?
Yeah.
Step one to build a AI, whatever you just said, component tool to build a
Agent,
Brook.
AI agent. Yeah, your bot, your bot, Andrew Davis, this is his, not mine, but he
Okay,
says build your bot doppelganger, your
okay,
AI doppelganger. So you're building Bart, I'm building Brooke. If it's the brand,
yes,
it's the brand doppelganger.
great. So they can Google what to go where.
I use ChatGPT. It's a
Hmm.
large language model. I'm sure you've heard of the others. There's
Yeah.
Gemini, there's Llama. Build wherever you want. If you want to
Hmm.
use ChatGPT, which is free, and just kind of like play around for a little bit, do that.
Yeah.
Go to ChatGPT, play around a little bit. You do have to pay the $20 a month if you want to build what's called custom GPTs, which is
Okay.
essentially where you would build your bot.
Okay, understood, understood. And I think I've maybe even touched upon it a little bit, Brooke, and tell me if this is beginning to build my bot. I will ask ChatGPT or Copilot, do you know who I am?
Yes.
And it will say, yes, you're Bart Berkey, #1 ranked motivational speaker, sales and service trainer. I mean, it's very nice. And I want to make sure that I'm feeding it that.
Yes.
And so can you then write me a proposal just to get some ideas if I were to consult with a custom home builder on how to build service excellence into every single. So I'm beginning to kind of use that Bart bot, but I can use it differently.
Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. You are phenomenal, Brooke.
Thank you.
I'm proud to know you as a human being.
Thank
I'm
you.
proud of what you're accomplishing. I'm proud that you are helping others. I don't want you to be bombarded in a bad way, but I do want people to learn more about your company. I do want people to buy your book because I am not done with it yet, but it's a nice read that is interesting. And I can't say that about a whole lot of books. You could say that. You could say that about mine, Brooke.
No, I
You could say
loved
that
your
about
book, The
mine. Yeah.
Breakfast and the Beer. I mean, I cannot. It's my favorite story in the whole book.
But I want people to be able to understand your book and understand the conversations that connect. It doesn't matter if you're a big company or a small company. I think it's helpful for individuals as well to get more of a social media presence, to understand how to make people feel, how to have more conversations. I just think it's absolutely brilliant. So thank you for sharing it with me. If people would like to get a copy of Conversations That Connect, how to connect, converse, and convert through social media listening and social-led customer care. Amazing. Where can they go, Brooke?
Thank you. You can go to our website, which is just b-squared.media. So it's our company name, but it's a .com. Or you could just go to Amazon. Or you could probably Google Conversations That Connect. Or you could Google Brooke Sellas. I think I'm the only Brooke Sellas so far.
Are you really?
I
Guess what
think
I
so.
am? Guess what I am?
What? The
I
only
am
Bart.
the only
Bart Berkey?
in the world.
I think I'm the only Brooke Sellas in the world.
It's so fun. I was
We
traveling.
broke the mold.
Well, yeah, I was at like years ago when the kids were little. I think we went to MIT or Harvard or somewhere, and there's a computer that says type in your name to see if there's any others. And I typed in my name, and there were no others.
Oh, I love that.
So
Oh,
do
now
the
I
same
want to go
thing.
do that because I think I am, but I don't know.
Yeah.
No one's told me differently so far.
Okay. Well, you could probably search it somehow. You could probably build a Brooke bot to find out, is there another Brooke Sellas
Search the
in
world.
the
I will.
world?
Yeah.
And tell us, how do you spell out B squared to make sure that people are typing in the right thing?
Yes.
B, the
it's
letter B.
B as in Brooke, the letter B.
Yes.
And then squared as in like square, ED,
SQUARED.
and
Yes.
then dot media,
Okay. And
MEDIA.
I will put it in the show notes, but I also wanted to make sure that people understand that you need to type out squared, B squared.
Yes. Yes. Very
Media.
good point.
Okay.
Yep,
Wonderful.
that's a great point.
Wonderful. All right. Amazing. Last question. I promise, Brooke. Thank you. This has been a phenomenal conversation with Brooke Sellas, CEO and founder of B Squared Media, author of Conversations That Connect. Fill in the blank, please. Most people don't blank.
Most people don't care. I mean, I think that's kind of a sad fact.
Yes.
Outside of themselves, I guess I should say. What is the word I'm looking for? Most people don't think about others.
Yeah, most people don't focus on others. But when we do what most people don't do, we know amazing things happen. You get to have great new friends that you feel like you've known forever. You can help people. You can feel good. All right, amazing. Brooke, cannot thank you enough. Thank you for being on the show. Most people don't, but you do. Brooke Sellas certainly does. Thank you again.
Thanks. Bye, y'all.